If you enjoyed today's podcast, Platinum Talks Wealth, please subscribe and share. For more information about Jennifer Rogers Markwell or Platinum Wealth Management, please visit www.platinumwealth.net. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member of FINRA and SIPC. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. The guest speakers and their companies are not affiliated with or endorsed by LPL Financial or Platinum Wealth Management. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Platinum Talks Wealth. Emmy-nominated journalist Jennifer Rogers Markwell changed gears in her television career when she realized the need to help women make sense of investing. She regularly hosts educational workshops to empower women and others to take charge of their financial future. Now, join your host, Platinum Wealth Management President Jennifer Rogers Markwell, as she leads us into the world of money memories, money infidelities, and how these can mold our relationship with our personal finances as adults. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hi, and thanks for joining us on the Platinum Talks Wealth Podcast. I'm Jennifer Rogers Markwell, and we're joined by Kimberly Sanders today. Kimberly, thank you so much for making time.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Of course, my pleasure. So my big question I always ask out the gate is tell us all about you and why you do what you do.
All right. I was thinking about this, and I'm going to start with an anecdote because I think it flows through everything. So right before my husband and I got married, we went through this kind of pre-Canaan counseling, right? So it's like you're getting married, trying to get to know your fiance a little bit. And we had to do this exercise. So every week we went in and they'd say, okay, here's a piece of paper in the upper left-hand corner, answer these questions. And you were flipping this paper around over and over again. One of the early questions was, what do you love most about your fiance? And then later at the very, very end, they had asked this question, like, what is the thing that drives you crazy about your fiance? And as I said, we were kind of moving this paper all around. And then they said, okay, now go and cut the bottom corner of this paper off. And what you'll notice is that what you love most about your spouse or your future spouse and what was driving you the most crazy, it's like the same word. And so what he loved most about me was my independence. And then 6-8 weeks later, what drove him the most crazy was my independence. And so he has that paper sitting in his wallet with independence written on both sides. So that's it. That's who I am. That's who I am as a wife and a mother and an aunt and a daughter and a sister. It's about being this fiercely independent woman. And then professionally, I'm a champion of independence, right? So whether it's my work as a consultant or an advocate or leading large organizations, it's all about helping individuals take control of their destiny. So that's it. It's like ripples in a pond for me. If you do one thing for one person, and they feel stronger, they feel more independent, they feel more in control, that spreads to their work, their family, their communities, right? Everything around them. So that's really my why, right? It's about helping people take that control back.
Were you always like this? Like as a little girl, were you always the same way?
I always was. I was absolutely that way. And this exercise, you gave me these questions to think about. And it was like an incredibly profound moment for me to realize that thread, it's everything good, it's everything bad, it's everything scary. It's about being this kind of fiercely independent person that's boldly going out there and tackling the world and tackling like problems and social problems. And it just kind of carried with me throughout everything.
That's awesome. So I know you personally and professionally. Right. So just me knowing you and watching you lead just huge teams at LPL and the impact that you're having, Did you ever put yourself in that position in your mind that that would be what you would be doing as a career path?
Never, never, ever did I think this is where I would be. I actually like the one-on-one. I like being able to, individualization is probably my number one strength. So if you're doing a strengths finder, that's the one that shows up because I like to tailor and customize and give advice or help people in the way that in one person needs it. So it's very new for me to have to be leading these large organizations and going, okay, well, how do I do that at scale? How do I make sure that impact, that passion that I have can make it to every single layer of the organization? So it was not something I ever expected to do. And I have a
Well,
huge fear of public speaking. So how I am this person now, I have no idea.
and I've shared stages with you and you're fantastic. So that's surprising to me.
Huge fear.
Wow. Well, I've got to like commend you. I feel like I'm commending you a lot already. But for having solutions for advisors who utilize the LPL platform to be able to grow their businesses thoughtfully and to get, additional support where needed, I think that that's been so invaluable just from my own experience.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. I mean, that's the purpose, right? It's how do we make you a better business owner? And the business you're running is different from the business your peers are running. So you've got to listen and adapt and make sure that solutions are available for the right people at the right time and the right dose. So that's really what we're working on now is making it even more available.
It's awesome. Well, thank you for all that you do.
So thank you.
So another thing we talk about on the podcast are money memories. What's a money memory that you've had or that you've experienced in younger years that helped mold your relationship to money now as an adult?
So when I thought back to it, I realized that I have been earning a very reliable income for a very long time. I was always responsible for anything that was special, new, exciting, something that was a trend. Like I was always responsible for that on my own. So that was clothes and the car and car insurance and gas and shoes and toys and anything, right? The extras in my life was always my job. And so probably from 13 on, I was earning a steady income. So I was a nanny when I was, gosh, in middle school, and then I was a nanny through high school. Then I had a job, and so I always have been working. So that, on the good side, is I have always been really confident that I can earn what I need for what I want, and that I can pull those levers and work more if there's something big that I want, work less if there's something that I want to do outside of work. So that gave me a lot of confidence. On the bad side, like I don't really know how to not work. And that shows up a lot. Like I don't know how to relax. I don't know, like when my daughters, they were doing stuff in school and someone had to say, what's your mom's hobby? And they wrote Excel, right? Excel is her hobby.
That's awesome.
Like, so I'm not good at that. Like that's at this stage of my life, that's the thing I'm working on is how do you create better balance? How do you feel secure in relaxing or in doing something that isn't a job? So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
I totally agree with you on that. I feel like the word balance, I mean, within my own team, we laugh about that because we're like, what balance? Like somebody's balance? So now we call it lifestyle. So you're integrating your lifestyle in your work life, your personal life, like it's all integrated somehow in a lifestyle. But I feel like same thing, right? I'm a work in progress on that to be able to find, I guess, I don't even know the right word because I'm trying to stay away from balance myself, but a more integrated lifestyle, I suppose.
Yeah, it's hard, right? It's hard, and you realize you're modeling it for your kids, and in a moment you feel proud you're modeling this independent working woman, and then all of a sudden you realize you're modeling workaholic. Like, okay, like you got to figure that out.
Yeah, we've really worked on like anytime we do like even a Disney trip or anything, obviously I will be working in the morning doing what I need to do, right? Making sure everybody's taken care of and then taking that, evening off to go do dinner or to go on rides or to do whatever. But I feel that's important too, just to show, as women, we can be independent. You can have it all. It's just trying to figure out how to maybe juggle all of it at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, how to schedule it. It's
Yeah,
true.
for sure. For sure. Well, thank you for sharing that. So another thing we talk through are financial infidelities, which I feel like that term is just a big, scary, hairy topic for a lot of folks. What's a financial infidelity that you've experienced or that you've witnessed that you feel others could learn from?
So personally, and I think I probably watched my mom have this moment too, but then I definitely feel it, which is I didn't start saving early enough. So I learned really early how to make the money, spend the money, but I never really thought about saving the money. And so when it came time to like start the 401k and max that out, it was like a major pay cut because I was living off of the paycheck. And then all of a sudden, like your pay comes down. And so I delayed that too long to like that. That's something I really regret, especially being in this industry. I'm like, how did you let that happen to yourself? But I did. My husband was the same way. And then you'd think we would have learned, but then the 529s came. We did have the same problem with the 529s. We started those too low, too late. So like that's something that really has scarred me, I think, is because and it sticks with me with this insecurity that I will never have enough because I didn't start early enough. I don't think it will ever matter what is in the accounts. It's always, I know I didn't start early enough. So I kind of carry that with me. Um, it's that's a definite real one. So I'm like on a soapbox about it now, right? Like this is my thing. I meet anybody, any mentor and any mentee, like any kind of group conversation. I'm like, have you maxed out your 401k? Because if you do it now, right, you'll never have that pay cut. It's like I did it at a restaurant last week. I was like, someone asked me for advice. I'm like, have you maxed out your 401k yet?
You are listening to the Platinum Talks Wealth Podcast.
Hey, it's Jennifer. I wanted to take a quick break to remind you that you are worthy to have a seat at the table when it comes to money and your finances. We, both me and my team at Platinum Wealth Management, want to meet you where you are, whether you're starting out, starting over, or have been investing for years. Reach out to us at platinumwealth.net or call us at 775-717-0001. We'd be honored to help.
And now, back to the podcast.
Right? Like that's it. Like, so that thing has stuck with me in a way that I don't think I ever anticipated that it would.
That's such invaluable information, though, right? I feel like looking back for me, I was raised by my grandparents, right? They didn't talk about that. You didn't talk about money. You didn't talk about politics. You didn't talk about anything really like that, right? You just didn't. But for them, it wasn't really even a thing, right? Where 401ks weren't even like going into huge existence or popularity. So I didn't learn that from them by any means. Was it the same in your family where your family just didn't discuss it? So you didn't have that early education on?
Yeah, so my father, my parents got divorced when I was in high school. And so he was the one that probably had way more experience with that, but I wasn't living with him at the time. So I was living with my mom and I was watching her really struggle. Right. And so like she's the one that was really teaching me like you have the job, you earn what you need to either buy the food or to take the vacation. So I was learning all of that watching her, but we never like she was never talking about saving. She was never talking about 401k. She was a teacher. So like it was just part of what was happening, as part of the system, like the state system. But yeah, we never talked about it.
But now your kids are hearing it from you. So you're changing the narrative. Absolutely.
Absolutely changing the narrative.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
feel
hear it from me all the time.
no, but that's so good. That's so good because I feel like I'm, similar in the same instance where I scream it from the rooftops, right? Like I want every woman and everybody out there to be able to be financially secure and independent and feel empowerment from that so they can make their own just, decisions and choices later in life that they're choosing, not because they have to.
Yeah, because you always feel so much better when you're choosing to stay. You're choosing to own this, to sell this, whatever it is, because you realize it's not out of necessity, right? It's like, all right, like I'm staying in this situation, this job, right? Whatever it is, because I want to, not because I have to. Right. I always have choices. And if you always have choices, you're so much more confident in where you are.
When you think about that, even on a deeper level, like in marriages, right? Then that way you're making the decision you want to be there because you want to be there, not because it's a financial tie, right? So it's throughout everything, through jobs, careers, marriages, relationships. I feel like it's such an integral part in everything, truly.
Yeah, it really is. Absolutely.
So as we begin to kind of wrap the conversation, I always like to ask, what are tips and or tricks that you use to utilize money differently in your own household?
So the screaming it from the rooftops one is a huge one. So we actually started the parental 401k for our kids. So it's different than the savings account. So like, when they had birthday money or holiday money, then they would put money in the savings account and we would match it. But then they could use that savings money for whatever was important to them down the road. So that was separate. But then as soon as they started getting their first paychecks, we have this 401k system that we have invented. It's fantastic for the children, let me just say. So they put 10% of everything they earn in. We match it at 100%. Then they get the savings, the interest from the account. Then we do this historical stock market return match for them. So they are like massive savers right now. And it's been so cool to watch because they both do it. Like every paycheck, they just send it and they call it the parent tax, or they zell us and they have jokes every time. But it's habitual. It goes in every single time. And the oldest one, she just graduated from college and started her first real job. And she now has an advisor and took all of that money, put it into a Roth, started. So it's because it wasn't savings. It was at 100% to start that. And she immediately did 10% into her 401k at work. And she's like ready. So that's number one biggest thing that we've ever done is that. And it's so cool to see that they just live it. And there's no question, because now every raise that they get, every promotion that they get, they'll actually feel it. They'll benefit from it instead of having to do that moment where you have to take that step back. So that's one.
That's super cool. And you guys thought of that because you said parental 401k, and I was like, I don't even know what that is. And I'm like, I know obviously Roth for kids and things like that, but I'm like, what? So you created this whole program just yourself and your own family?
Yeah, just so that they would be like, and they would watch it and they would watch the interest grow. They would watch the match grow, and they would like every time it would cross a certain threshold, like there'd be this celebration, and
That's so cool.
and then they compete with each other. Now they're like, who's bigger, and so it's actually pretty cool. So that was like, I don't know how we came up with it, but that has been great. And then the second one, this wasn't intentional either. So this one just happened where when we first got married, we were both getting our master's degrees, and I was working and going at night, and my husband stayed home. And so he did it during the day. And so he was in the full-time program. And so we learned to live on one income. So the house we bought was on one income. Like everything we did was on one income because of that 2-year period. Then we moved to, after we graduated, we moved to San Jose, and we did the same thing. We're like, well, we better just, who knows, right? Just stay on one income. And so everything we did was on one income. And then sure enough, a couple years in, I got pregnant. And so I was like, out of the blue, decided I wanted to stay home. I don't know where that came from with all the work history. I was like, I have to stay home with this baby. So we were able to, then we moved back to Arizona on one income, bought the house on one income. And I stayed home for 8 years. We had a second, realized that that was really, really critical for us because the girls both have disorders with OCD, depression, anxiety, especially the younger one. So the younger one, it was almost debilitating. And so all of those years, I was able to do the appointments and the diagnoses and the counseling and the medication. And like I was there to help get them to school. Then it was by time she was in kindergarten, it was time for me to go back. We realized very, very quickly, like 2 of us working wasn't going to work for our family. So then my husband stayed home. So then he stayed home and got them through the rest of their college, their high school, middle school careers, got them off to college. And all of that was because we always lived on one income. And so kind of going back to that independence thing, it's like you always had choices. We always knew, like if something wasn't going right, someone could pull back, someone could step forward, because we never had that hanging over our head that you both have to work full time. in order to keep, the house or the cars or anything that you're accustomed to. We just always lived in that weird one income space. And it's the best thing we ever did. And we never knew we were going to have to do that. It was a surprise how much the girls really needed to have someone at home. So I was lucky. So
That's huge.
those were it. Like that's it. Those two choices made a big difference. Or like those habits, they've defined everything. So now I've got two girls. They are thriving. One's going off on a Fulbright scholarship to live in Korea for a year. The other one is going for a semester abroad in Seoul for the same. They'll have an overlap. They're both great and happy and smart and independent and ready to launch. So that like those two things together, I think really kind of rounded out our family.
So as many years as I've been doing the podcast, I've never had anyone tell me either one of those.
Really? It's new.
That's awesome. No, that's so good and so disciplined. And I think it goes back. I mean, the tie throughout our conversation today is being able to have those decisions, right? Being able to make them not based on just finances because you're doing the right thing behind the scenes.
Yep. Yeah. It really does give you a sense of peace to have them in place. Like it really does. Like you know that you're making the right decisions because you can make the right decisions. And volunteer work comes into it for me. Like right now, I'm like really being pulled to do more, in a different way. And knowing that like, okay, like between the two of us, we have time and we can do that. So it's good.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for making time to share this morning.
It was wonderful. And like I said, when we first started, like the questions were really amazing questions. And I hope your listeners all think about the questions for themselves. It was a bit therapeutic to realize like, oh, these are some of the things I'm carrying around. And either be proud of them or shake them off, whatever it is, or do something about them. But like with them lurking in the background and never thinking about them, like that's not a good place for them. Let them see the daylight.
Totally. That's exactly why I started the podcast, was I was hearing common threads from clients when I would have meetings with them who were wildly successful, but were like, can I buy a couch? I think I can't buy a couch. And I'm like, no, you really can. But then talking to them, it was their family, Midwestern, blue collar, trying to get food on the table. So they always went back to that same narrative, even though they were in a much different place in their lives now. So I thought, if I keep hearing this, everyone, every walk of life, every nationality, everyone has some sort of a money memory that molded their relationship to money as an adult. And same thing, right? Whether it makes sense for them to change the narrative or to move forward with it, just to know and have that acknowledgement of that's why I do what I do.
Yeah, it was awesome. I thought this was fantastic. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, of course. Thank you. And those of you watching and or listening, hopefully you'll join us on our next Platinum Talks WealthPodcast.
I'll be there.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, Platinum Talks Wealth, please subscribe and share. For more information about Jennifer Rogers Markwell or Platinum Wealth Management, please visit www.platinumwealth.net. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member of FINRA and SIPC. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. The guest speakers and their companies are not affiliated with or endorsed by LPL Financial or Platinum Wealth Management.